What is up, guys? We are back. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host Cherona. Welcome to the George Mossey Show. So, 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After, season 7, part 3 of 4, Tell All has aired, and we have a lot to talk about. We have one more week to go before this story officially ends, but there's a lot that happened on this episode, and we learned that Bilal and Shida, we've been watching them for 2 seasons, and the only thing that Shida has really asked for from Bilal, two things. She wants to open a yoga studio, and she wants to get pregnant because she is 37 years old and her biological clock is ticking. Now, we watched Bilal fight her tooth and nail for 2 seasons on why he did not want to have kids. And I don't want to say he doesn't want to have kids. He kept saying, not right now. Now is not a good time in our lives. We should wait a few years. And then they went to a fertility doctor who said waiting a few years could be extremely detrimental for Shida because at that point in her life, the percentage of getting pregnant naturally was less than 5%. Now, less than 5% is very low. Okay, like very, very low. That's almost non-existent. So
Mhm.
the idea that she wanted to have that child, and we watched for 2 seasons her be very persistent, and she weighed him down, and he kept saying no. And then we find out on this tell-all that Bilal has given in. He said that he's seen her cry, he's seen how much she was affected by this, and he decided it was time for them to try to have a baby. And then Shida comes back and shocks everybody and says, maybe it's not the right time. Now, I don't know what this story is about because I don't know. I feel like Shida has been selling this baby thing, and it's kind of been their only storyline throughout these 2 seasons. They haven't really
Mhm.
had a lot going on. I mean, we've watched Bilal be controlling, and we watched Bilal leave her out of finances and leave her out of, just normal everyday marriage stuff. But this baby was really the concrete foundation of
Mhm.
their storyline. So the idea that she has decided she wants to focus more on her work instead of having a baby kind of threw me for a curveball. I was like, well, I don't even know what to think about her anymore.
Yeah, that was very confusing. I was like, "Wait a second. Like, is something else going on that we don't know about? Like, what happened?" Because like you said, that has been the only storyline that they've had is
Mhm.
baby, baby, baby. I need a baby. I need a baby. And then you watch them go to like that store, like the holistic store to get like teas and stuff. So it's like, I'm confused. Why does he want it and you don't want it? Like, why are you flip flopping? I don't understand. Like, just have your damn baby, okay? Like, he's finally on board. What if she, waits a little too long, or she's like, oh, I don't really want it, and then she flips back to, I want the baby, and he's like, well, you didn't want the baby, so I don't want the baby anymore. And then the whole onesie thing. Come on.
That was weird because it was like he was giving her permission to
Yeah.
try when she had
Mm-mm.
already wanted to try. And it's almost weird because she decided she didn't want to try anymore. And then he's like trying to convince her to try. And she said that, oh, she's like, oh, I'm the one who tells him to wear protection now. And it's just their whole story blows my mind because I was like, at this point, I was like, I don't even know if I want to keep watching them. Because I was
Uh,
like, they're so wishy washy, flip
mhm.
floppy. Like at this point, I was like, we've invested like 2 years of watching them talk about how much they needed a baby. So I don't
Ugh.
even know if they know what they want. And we watched Utress and Chris, Utress being Shida's friend and Chris being Bilal's friend, kind of go at each other on the tell all, which was kind of unexpected because they were both there to speak up for their friends, and it kind of backfired because Utress did unfortunately tell Shida that she should trick Bilal into getting her pregnant, and that is never good advice. So I hate to side with Chris because Chris definitely was a bit of a douchebag,
Oh, I hated him.
definitely, right? So I
Hated
hate
him.
to side with him, but that's never good advice because when a
Hmm.
child is brought into the world, especially in a relationship or a marriage, both people need to be on board. Now, I don't want to say it can't work because my parents, when I was conceived, I was a oops baby. Like they had 2 kids already. They were not interested in a third, but I'm here. And now look at me. I'm the best thing that ever happened. So it is definitely something that can be worked through, but you shouldn't trick your spouse. And if you're in a relationship or a marriage where you feel like you need to trick the person, you don't need a child with them, right? Like, I don't think that you're ready for a child. And the fact that Shida doesn't even know how much Bilal makes. Oh, and we learned Bilal is making Shida sneak candy into the movie theater because he feels like popcorn and candy cost too much. Shida, if this is true, you don't need to have a child with this man because children, it says statistics show that a child can cost up to $1 million between birth and 21. He doesn't even want to buy the $8 popcorn at the movie theater. Not ready for a child.
Oh no. I mean, That was crazy. I was like, "Are you seriously? You're gonna?" I mean, I get it. Like, I like to bring my own candy in too, but it's because I don't like what they have at the movie theater. I still buy the popcorn. I still buy the soda. I go to the movies to buy popcorn and buy things. Like, why? Then you have no business going to the movies if you can't even afford some damn popcorn. That was crazy. Honestly, I just don't think that that's gonna work out. They probably should wait until they're both
Yeah,
on the
neither
same.
one of them are ready to have
No.
a baby, and the fact that they have flip-flopped on the decision shows even more. It
Mhm.
solidifies the
Yeah.
fact that they're not in that place in their relationship until they can open a joint bank account. Please don't bring a living person into this world. You're not ready. A living person takes the type of commitment and teamwork that you guys aren't there yet with, because a joint bank account shouldn't even be a heated discussion because you're married. And it's like, if you don't trust her, why did you marry her? And he's like, oh, well, she tends to spend money. Okay, that's true. Women tend to spend money a little faster than men. I've learned that women shop more, they know where the good deals are, they do spend
Yeah.
money. But a lot
Mhm.
of times women are smarter with their money. If you think about it, a man will go and buy a house, he'll go buy a car, and he doesn't even ask around or shop around. Like, at least women know like 50 different websites where she can get the purse she's looking for. She just
Yeah.
knows the one website that has the cheapest price. Like, you at
Mhm.
least you have to give women credit for that. Women definitely know a lot more when it comes to shopping. Whatever, if she spends a lot of money, you married her, you trust every aspect of her. When you marry someone, you take the good,
Mhm.
the bad, the overspending, whatever they have going on. This is your wife. You accept her for who she is. So you can't leave her out of the finances. I felt like when he said that she's not a part of the finances, I was like, well, that feels like you just let a random person into your home that you don't trust. And it's like, but she's your wife. Like, it doesn't add up to me, because you have to trust someone to live in the house with you. Talk about starting a family with, and then say, well, I don't trust her with my money. I don't get it. Okay, so I want to talk about this huge thing that happened tonight. So Jamal kind of came in and he stormed into the tell all, and he had a theory about Kim and Usman's relationship. Now, I don't know where I stand on this, and I definitely want to talk about that and where you stand on it too. So Jamal feels that Usman guilted his mother, Kim, into breaking up with him by asking things of her that no woman would ever be able to agree with, like taking on a second wife, adopting a very small child and raising it. And these things led to the actual breaking up of the relationship, but he wanted Kim to do it and not him, in order to kind of save face, to make it seem like he's not that much of a bad guy. So, first of all, this is Jamal's theory. Where do you stand on this theory? Because the entire cast seemed to agree 100% with this theory.
You know what? Like in the very, very, very beginning, when they first got together, he was just calling her super fan Kimberly, and he was saying you have potential. I didn't like that, and then I almost feel like he just like I kind of side with Jamal. Like I don't want to. I love Kimberly. I do think that they ended up getting a connection. I do think that there was a
Mhm.
connection eventually, but I do see that he like I feel like he did see that there was like so much potential with being with her because he was gonna get what he wanted from
Mhm.
her, but it's hard because it kind of makes sense because if any guy is going to put a woman through that, she's not going to be into it. She's going to get over it.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know. It was such a different side of Usman. Like we've seen bits
Yeah.
and pieces of him fighting with people and like going like crazy. So like it's hard because I feel like we know Kim is all in. But like I really wonder now, like Usman, what were you doing? Like oh, it's hard because I do want to side with Jamal, but oh,
I know it's hard, because also Kim feels from her end, because she did tell them in the green room, I don't feel like he used me. I don't feel like he's seeing me. I do feel like with the connection we have is real. And again, she said, none of you are there with us. You don't know
exactly.
what we experience. So Jamal's theory, it sounds good, but a lot of theories sound good, but without like being there and physically having proof, I don't know if I want to say that he never loved her or if it was never real, because I feel like the connection that they have has to be real. 3 years, all of these trips back and forth to Nigeria, I just don't see people doing that for a fake relationship. And I feel like even if the relationship was a potential relationship in the beginning, I feel like feelings did grow over
Yeah.
time. Like maybe the feelings were not that strong in the beginning. Maybe Jamal is onto something. Maybe he was like, oh, it's just the American woman and she's in love with me. She's head over heels with me. I'll let her come here and it'll, look good, boost my ego, whatever. But I do feel like feelings had to have grown. He kept inviting her back.
Mhm.
Like if you didn't want her there, because he's never tried to come to America, like if he wanted to come to America and it was a scam, I feel like he would be here by now. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people we watch on 90 Day Fiance, we meet them and then on the same exact season, they're already here. So it's
Mhm.
like if it was really that type of situation, he would already be here. So another thing I want to ask, he said that in order for you to have sex with someone, you have to be in love. Now, I know in his culture, in order to have sex, you have to be married. But he felt that in order for him to have a second wife, he would have to be in love with the second wife as well as the first wife. So, how do you feel about that? Because Kim was always told the second wife would be basically someone to bring a child into the relationship, but not actually be someone that he would give all of his time to. He actually told Kim that she would always be number one. She would get all the attention and all the love. And then we learned on the tell all, he said that he would be fully in love with both women.
Oh God. I First of all, when he said that you have to be in love with someone to have sex, I was crying because that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Obviously, we know Usman's had sex with people before he was married. So, regardless if he said he loved them or not, like we know he was out there doing whatever. And like that's just not that doesn't happen. People will just hook up. I mean, look at all the dating apps and stuff that people go on just to hook up with someone. Like that was crazy. So I don't agree with that. I think that was crazy. But with the second wife thing, I really was upset. I was like, I wanted to hug Kim when I saw her see that scene of him talking to that woman because he
Yeah.
wasn't honest again. So that really
Mhm.
bothered me. And he was like, oh, she's like so pretty. And like, I could talk to her on the side. We could work it out. It's like, that's when it kind of made me feel like, what is he doing with like what is the role for Kim? I get you said that was gonna be your first wife, but he seemed so intrigued by this new woman when he's
Yeah.
already having problems with Kim. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how he didn't tell her he got her phone number. Like I think that that's a very important factor that he decided to just not tell her.
Yeah.
He
And
really
did
didn't
you notice
tell her.
when she asked if they had been in contact, he never really answered the question?
Exactly. I hated that. I was like, come on, own it. I think that, like you said, I think that they do have a connection. I think that was really, it did flourish. But he's like Michael. He's just lying about everything. Like maybe they are two peas in a pod. Like I
See,
don't like that.
Angela might be on to something. And it's
She,
like,
she-
I heard Kim say at the end, Sean was like, do you think there's any way that you could rekindle this relationship? And Kim said no. And then she said, after that, she was like, I love him and I could meet the man of my dreams when I leave here, but I'm going to see where things happen and we're still going to be friends. So I feel like the
Mhm.
door is like cracked open.
Yeah,
Like
it
there's
is.
like a little door stop there and the door isn't fully closed. So
Mhm.
I know Kim was like, no, there's no chance. But I also feel like the idea of her walking away from this, but still talking to him every day and texting him every day and having him as her best friend, it's impossible to move on with someone when they're so involved in your
Exactly.
life. So I feel
Yeah.
like even if she wants to move on, as long as that communication is open, I don't see how she's going to be able to do that.
No, I feel the same way. I feel like sometimes you have to either it's like do it. I get it. I totally understand. Like if you guys were like your best friends and stuff and you want to keep that. But in this instance, like he hurt her too much and I don't like that. And she needs to find someone. She's amazing. I love Kim. She needs to find a real man that wants to be with her, that wants to love her, that wants to give her the world, that doesn't want to try to trick her into getting a second wife or adopting his brother's kid or all these
Yes.
other crazy things that he has up his sleeve. Like, no. She needs someone amazing that's going to make her feel just as amazing as she is.
I agree 100%. All right, guys, we've run out of time. So this is what happened on part 3 of Happily Ever After, season 7 of the Tell All, No Limits. I am George Mossey. This is my co-host, Cherona. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com, and anywhere you get your podcasts. And make sure you're following Cherona as well. Her links are here at the bottom. We're going to talk to all of you guys later in the week with the TLC roundup of all the shows and things going on the TLC channel. Talk to all of you guys really soon.